And now, the SleepHawk Worldwide Podcast. Here are your hosts, Brandon Staton and Tyler Hansbrough.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to SleepHawk Worldwide Podcast. This is Sleep Dog with the Big Hawk.
What's up, everybody? It's the Big Hawk. Man, it's one of my favorite times of the year. Sleep. The holidays. It's getting cold. Maybe it's going to snow, but whatever, man. I'm glad to be in the studio with you, and I'm excited about the pod.
Guys, we got our freaking Christmas list put together. Bill Belichick wasn't on it, by the way. We were like 2 weeks late to the game, but we even have some technical difficulties. I'm just going to put it that way. We're going to talk about Bill Belichick. I got a lot of texts from friends that want to know what we think about it. So we're going to tell you. Heels, that has overshadowed the heels on the hardwood quite a bit. So Carolina coming off a loss against Florida, dropping to 6-5. We're going to talk a little bit about the current state of the team, look ahead to UCLA, maybe talk about some Christmas memories, take a little sleigh ride, right? But let's jump into it, dude. So obviously the whole world knows about it. It's been all kind of, in a way, coming at it late like we are, means that we've already had a chance to digest a lot of the arguments, positive, the negative, about bringing Bill Belichick on. I still have one question that just hasn't been answered. Like, how does that even happen? Like, who sits around and says, we need a coach? And it's like, well, why don't we just call Bill Belichick and see if he wants to do it? That would be like me saying, I need golf lessons. Why don't I just call, I'm not saying it's Tiger Woods, but yeah, I think that's it. Like, maybe I'll just call Tiger and see if he wants to fly down to Raleigh and teach me how to play golf. Like, not just like a lesson, mind you. Like, let's see if Tiger Woods wants to be Brandon Sleep Dog's golf coach. It's up there in that realm. Like, that still blows my mind. Like, whose idea was this? Did they get laughed out of the room? And how do they look now? Holy shnikes, dude. Bill Belichick coaching Carolina football is absurd. It still just it feels awkward. It's so unfathomable. We're on the map now, for better or for worse, man. What do you think about the hire, Big Hawk?
Sleep, I just want to say I've never been so excited about UNC football in my life. You know what? We could be doing this in a year or two, and I'm not sure I will have digested the fact that Bill Belichick is coaching UNC football. And I absolutely love it. Chapel Bill, bring it all on. Yeah. And I'm going to be cutting the sleeves off my hoodies. I'm all in. And I really do like this hire. I don't care if we have him for a year, 2 years, whatever. I'm just glad that we have arguably the greatest football coach of all time. I'm excited. There's a lot of enthusiasm around football, especially, we thought that was damn near impossible after what we went through last year. And also, God bless Mac. He was, he represented the school Mac very well. We love Mac. This is no disrespect. But I will say, I think we have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl than you do of having a good golf game. And I say that respectfully, Sleep. You could have Tiger Woods giving you lessons. And listen, me and you on the golf course, put us in competition setting, and it is not going to be a beauty contest, like you say. But I'm excited, Sleep. I'm looking forward to it. And it seems like a lot of young kids want to play for Belichick, and who wouldn't? If you have dreams and hopes of playing in the NFL, and what he stated on what he wants to do for a college, plans on making a pipeline to the NFL for NFL players and getting them ready and preparing them, I would be all in as well. And, Belichick wins. He's very different than Mac, in my opinion. Like, Mac is like really charismatic and charming. You don't get that from Belichick. Listen, guys, we're not here. This isn't a social thing. Like, Belichick's here to win and do his thing the way he does it. He's not running around and, trying to make friends with everybody in town. He's not the most charismatic, but I love that we have him, Sleep.
So as I'm saying this, I just look up behind me on the TV screen, and Charlie Baker's on the Pat McAfee show. Hopefully that's not a bad omen, because we had dogged that guy I can't remember what it was that he was just whiffing on before. Oh, it was the Tez Walker thing. Anyway, I bet he wouldn't do that. I bet he wouldn't do that with old Billy at the helm. So I'll do you one further on Belichick, dude. I think there is an argument to be made, definitely in college football, maybe in sports history, period, that this is the biggest hire or like hiring win ever. I mean, ever. Think about like, okay, the Lakers got Phil Jackson, like when I was young. Remember, that was a big deal. Like they pulled him out of retirement. That was a big deal. Like, but they were the Lakers. They had Kobe, you know? I can't remember if they already had Shaq or, Phil brought him in. But like, who in the history of at least American sport, I don't know anything about any soccer, right? But name a more consequential hire. And you could say Roy Williams to Carolina. That's not it. Because that is like, that's kind of like a pat. I'm talking about, wow. Like, how do you get this guy? You can talk about Harbaugh to Michigan. Nope. I mean, it's Michigan. You can talk about whatever you want. There has never been, somebody point one out to me. There has never been a more consequential hire that I've ever heard of. I mean, this came from flat out nowhere. I mean, we had a list, and the only guy on it, in my opinion, and I don't know, again, we say a lot that we are not in the weeds in college football like some of you people are. But the name on the list to me that made the most sense was Arthur Smith. And people, for whatever reason, they just drag him. And there's a number of reasons it made sense for UNC, and there's an equal number of reasons where it made no sense for him. Because if you come to UNC and go 6-7-5 or whatever, like your whole pro career is over. Like you're gonna be a kickers coach when you go back to the NFL, right? Belichick is such a consequential hire for so many reasons. And here's the thing. This is kind of the benefit of waiting so long to digest this and then talk about it. A lot of the naysayers are talking about, well, he can't go in and recruit because he's not charismatic. How is he going to go in and sit on somebody's couch, and recruit this kid? Guess what? That ain't the way this works anymore. Number one basketball player in America is going to BYU. You know why? Because somebody walked in his house and said, hey, man, we'll give you $7 million. And that dude might not even know who his coach is. Right? I mean, I'm kidding. Kid's from Utah. There's an edge there. My point being is I think it'd be fool's gold to think that Belichick is going to come in and because of who he is, the whole landscape, he's just going to figure everything out. Everything's going to work. But in politics all the time, right? Everybody's complaining on either side of the aisle about nobody has a plan. Nobody has any policy, right? This dude's coming in with the Bible, Bill's Bible, and he's got it all laid out, man. Like we've already got Michael Lombardi as a GM. So he's got a plan. And if you're a Carolina football fan, you just went from because I would have said this all day long. You hire Arthur Smith. Okay, great replacement. But I said this a million times. Who are you going to get that's better than Mac Brown? Like, who are you going to get that is better than Mac Brown? Nobody. Damn, we got Bill Belichick. Like, okay, never mind. Let's roll. So I couldn't be more excited about this. I think it's right for all the right reasons. I don't know who pulled this off, but Bubba Cunningham, we talked about this. I know there was some friction there in the exit. And I don't know either of these guys personally, Mac or Bubba. But based on what I know, based on preponderance of evidence that I have, but there might be a statue of Bubba Cunningham outside a football stadium before next season starts. I mean, dude, this guy's locked in.
Yeah, and Sleep, those are great points. And I've never even thought about UNC football making the biggest hire in college football history. You're dead on. And
ever.
Yeah, this is the biggest splash hire in the history of college athletics. And there's no denying it. I was pulling for Arthur Smith, honestly. I just didn't think it was in the realm of possibility that we had a shot at Belichick. And, Sleep, this is why you check. And, this is why, hey, does Belichick want to coach at UNC? And, even making that phone call sounds a little comical. But I had no clue that Belichick had UNC ties.
I had no idea. Zero idea that.
I had no idea that his dad was an assistant coach at UNC at one point, and he used to go to Keenan and watch him practice and play as a very young kid. And I wish I would have known about that before because I think that's really cool. And I had heard that he had said that UNC's like football in the forest. I love that. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty cool saying. And, we do have a beautiful campus here. It's amazing. And the football stadium kind of hidden by the pines and kind of tucked back in there, that's a cool look. I like that. But the other thing, Sleep, is you're right. He came in with the game plan. And I think with a good coach like Belichick, he understands his own flaws. And he was already in front of where he might have an issue, and that's recruiting, that's NIL. Boom. He made the hire that he thought would handle that the best and who is much more probably knowledgeable at it than him. And not only is that Lombardi guy going to do the NIL, but also he's going to recruit from the portal and high school. And I love that. And that makes sense for an older coach who doesn't have the most charming personality like Belichick. Get a guy like that, present it to a high school kid. And then Belichick did say he's open to going to recruits, prospects, homes for, dinners, meeting the family. And that's what you got to do. And, he's willing to put the work in. And the last thing, and what I like most about this hire, and this has to do with Belichick, is he loves coaching football. Okay, he could have, had his ego and said, "No, I don't want to go to college. Like, I'm the best. I want to stay in the NFL because that's where I belong." No, he just wanted to coach. He wanted to make an impact, and I think that's a good viewpoint for a lot of coaches because some of the best coaches I've ever worked with, not only do they work with professionals, they work with all levels. And the fact that Belichick was willing to go back to college just for his love of football and coaching really says a lot about him. So I'm pumped about it.
It's easy to say at hindsight 2020, but Dion to Colorado was also a very big deal. They basically rolled him out there and didn't know how they were going to pay him. They didn't have the money to pay him, and they just banked on bringing him in there, and the rest would happen. So that's a really consequential hire that a lot of people didn't see coming. But for him, it was a step in a progression. He's a coach at Jackson State or whatever it was, Jacksonville State. I think it's Jackson State. And then, he was looking for another job. And so that was far more explainable. Yeah, I'm with you all the way on all this stuff. The other thing is as Belichick's, the only real interaction the average person obviously has with Bill Belichick is through the media. And you've talked to the media. And I mean, as silly as it was, I was part of it in college, like as a student journalist. Like that's not a reflection of who people are. One of my favorite stories about asking you stuff about NBA guys is, I'm a big Russell Westbrook fan. Everybody thinks Russell Westbrook's like the biggest jerk in the world. Tyler's like, dude, this is one of the nicest people I've ever met. He just doesn't like the media that much. And so, you develop this, understanding of their personality through a totally different worldview. And, I think that, this experience is probably not humbling or anything. That's not what I mean. I just think that this is probably like he's at peace with it and it's what he wants to do. And his mentality is probably a lot different. He probably wants this challenge. And so he understands that he understands he can't yell at whoever he's got, like yell at Tom Brady. He understands his kids ain't Tom Brady, right? Or at least we hope so. I'm interested in this portal, man. I mean, look, there is a very real possibility. I think my initial thought was this will end in disaster, but you have to do it, right? If Carolina wanted to hire Michael Jordan as basketball coach, I think everybody would sort of look at it and say, I don't know about that, but how could you not do that, right? Yeah. And that was my initial reaction. And the more I saw, I was like, kind of started thinking through it. I'm like, yeah, it could go that way. It could absolutely, because there's a lot of hype now, right? But we could be on the map. Also, like we could be rolling next year talking about, wow, like we're 11-0 or something. I mean, it could have transfer portal changes everything. So, and so does NIL. Anyway, I mean, it's going to be a hell of a good year next year.
I'm with you. I'm expecting us to be in the college football playoffs next year and having a shot to win it all. I think that's how fast this turnaround is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's going to embrace what everybody else has not embraced, including Carolina, which is, look, landscape's different, man. You got to play by today's rules. So we'll see. I mean, we'll be sitting here this time next year, and we're either going to be talking about a football game we're about to have, or nobody heard us say all that crazy stuff this time last year. Anyway, moving on to basketball. The one thing this has done, this hire, intentionally or unintentionally, has delivery guys just delivering package, the old watchdogs back here. Ain't too happy about it. Is kind of overshadowed what I think by most standards is a slow start, to put it mildly, for Carolina basketball. So coming off a loss, fifth loss of the season, dropping to 6-5 against Florida. Not gonna lie, man, I was fading fast. Made it through the first half. Wife's trying to wake me up early in the second. I was like, dude, you need to wake up, man. I'm coming back here. And I was, I didn't quite make it, but I did check the highlights and everything. And this is what I'll say before I toss this over to you. I think if you ask any Carolina fan, you're definitely starting to get, and maybe rightfully so, pretty concerned. However, we have losses against number 4 Auburn, probably the best team in the country. You've said it many times. Michigan State, kind of bad loss, 3-point loss in a weird setting. Alabama, first game back from Hawaii, great team. I think they're better than their rank. And Florida. And also, of course, 3-point loss at Kansas. So if you just kind of look at this in a vacuum, I mean, the silver lining is, aside from really the Alabama game, I mean, even the Auburn game, I think they stretched it out a little bit closer to the end. It was pretty handily won game by Auburn. But, it ain't like we're getting just eviscerated out here, and we're shooting poorly. We're getting off to these terrible starts. It feels like there's a potential to turn this around. It just feels like a long shot that it happens at this point. So I ask you, I mean, what do you feel about the current state of the team? How do you feel about the team right now? And where do they go going into UCLA?
Sleep. Right now, if I'm a player in that locker room, this is as close as you get to pulling the fire alarm. And what I mean by that is, you are hungry for a win, okay? You're at the point in the season where, listen, we have not met expectations from ourselves, from the media, from outside. And listen, these kids, they hear it from, their classmates, the school, campus, media, social media now. Now's the time to put all that aside, and you guys stick with the voices in the locker room. You've got to be tight, okay? You've got to be with each other, because you know what? You guys are all you have. No one else is going to, give you any type of positivity or look at you through a positive light right now, because we have underwhelmed this far.
Like those people's expectations. Yeah.
And Sleep. So let's just look at it. We've lost to 4 top 10 teams, and I respect the strength of schedule. We've played, our strength of schedule is up there with anybody, and we've lost to 4 of the top 10 teams. I mean, there's something to be said about that, but we have lost 4 of the last 6 games. So we're going through a tough, stretch right now. Our net ranking, which is put out from the NCAA, they use all these mathematical equations and numbers, is 45. And so I value their ranking just because they have a lot to do with who gets in the tournament, who doesn't, and stuff like that. So I look at the net ranking put out from the NCAA, we're 45. And I will say our best win right now is against Dayton, which is a quad 1 win. So there's value to that. And I think Dayton's very good, by the way. They've been up there with a lot of top programs recently. I really like their head coach, Anthony Grant, as well. He's done a good job. But this is panic mode time. And the reason I say that is because the ACC is the least toughest conference of all the top conferences out there in college basketball. We are weak this year. There's not a lot of quality wins to be had in the ACC play. Duke and Clemson are pretty much the only 2 tournament teams in my opinion, looking at the ACC as a whole. And, with this schedule, we're hoping to at least, you would hope to get maybe a couple of these big time wins. Like the Kansas game would have been big. Even sneaking one out against Bama at home after you lost to, in Maui would have been crucial. But right now, this team has a lot of issues, and I think they need to stay in the locker room. And tactically, what needs to happen, Sleep, and this is a glaring issue, and it's just like it's almost like one of these things that we deal with every single game, and I'm watching them. I'm almost turning the TV off. I get so mad. We take these haymakers to start every single game. It's like going into a boxing match and just getting destroyed and letting the other guy you're fighting just hit you 10 times in the face. You can't do that. You can't come out here and get in the hole against these top quality teams. We're not that good. And even if we do have a good game, and some of these top teams like Auburn, Alabama, they play well, they're going to beat us the majority of the time because they're a better team. So we can't be destructive to ourselves and put ourselves, in a bad situation. We've got to fix the starts. I've said that, for a while now. You can't come out and start the games the way we have. And the most frustrating part is a lot of it looks like it is energy. And sometimes it looks like, we're not there when the ball goes up the tip. Listen, whatever you need to do, I don't know, at this point I suggested tweaking the starting lineup. We've done that. We tweaked it so much. We're at the point where, you tweak it anymore, guys are going to start like maybe losing their confidence.
Losing their hair.
This is on those guys. Listen, respect the game. You got to start it with energy. You got to come out to play, and you got to compete to win. Okay, you can't sleepwalk your way to a win against some of these top teams. And, I'll just use this as an example. Every major loss or every loss that we've had, we've been down by double digits in the first half. And so if you look at this, I put this down right here, Sleep Dog. So against Kansas, we're down 20 in the first. Can't do that against them in Fall Gown and expect to win. Auburn, we're down 19 in the first. Can't do that against arguably the best team in college basketball. Michigan State, we're only down 14 in the first, which is a miracle. And then against Alabama, we were down 18 in the first. It felt like a lot more. And against Florida, we were down 17 in the first. And, even to start the game, I'm on I was texting with Sleep. I was just like, man, like Florida's buckets, they look like they're getting them within the offense. It looks like guys know where to go. They're passing, sharing the ball. Compared to what we're shooting, it's like a hard shot, contested, almost hero basketball. And, I just, I don't understand as a team who is dying for a win and has lost a few games recently, how you start the game the way you did. And, I don't have the answer. I wish I did, Sleep. And it's probably why I'm not a coach. But I will say that is a glaring issue that needs to be fixed. But I will say the positives from, what I saw against Florida is RJ Davis played unbelievable. He played like the player that we kind of thought he would be this year. And so if we get more of that, I'm encouraged. And the other players in Jackson, and we both love him. We love his game. He's athletic. He took over in the second. And I thought what he did was impressive. And I will just say this, whoever's listening, if anybody's listening, we can't expect him to repeat what he did against Florida. That's called hero basketball. Okay, that's those shots. That's not something that players. He was in the rhythm. He was feeling it. He was taking heat checks and just knocking them down, and his confidence was going. When you get a player of that level in rhythm, their confidence is up. Listen, I've seen some of the best just go off. And going forward, I would, Sleep, I want to see Yin get more minutes. I think he's shown some competitiveness. I really like the way he's playing. And I think more minutes and maybe a little bit, hey, you know what? You make some mistakes. Maybe we'll play you a little bit more just because that's going to build his confidence. And if this team wants a chance, I think that and Drake have to be a big part of this team. I think that we're going to have to find out or find ways to have them in the game. And, we can talk about all the issues as far as we don't have the size, we don't have the front court, all that stuff. Listen, that's an easy out because as a whole, we haven't played well. Like, you can blame the front court, but listen, the back court really hasn't, been overwhelming. We haven't shot the ball well. We're a bad offensive rebounding team, which we take a lot of shots and we play fast. So we should be a higher offensive rebounding team. That just means that we're not taking quality shots. But right now, Sleep, I'm in panic mode if I'm a player, and I'm really locked into the team in the locker room and what they're saying and how we can improve. And I'm viewing this next game. I hate must wins. I hate when people say, oh, it's a must win. Well, what if we lose? What happens? We're going to play again, right? This is a must win because I really feel like this could give us a little bit of momentum and also a win that we need before heading into conference play. Because if we go into conference play and we lose to some of these weak teams in the ACC, I mean, we're already running the risk of possibly missing the tournament. And we need a quality win, and we need to take care of these weak conference teams, which conference play, it's hard to get a win. I don't care how weak it is. But that's the current state, Sleep. That's where I'm at with this team. I know I was a little bit negative, but listen, we can turn it around. It's still early in the year. We can get this right, and we can give, still end it on a good positive note and have a great year.
I mean, your point, on one hand, we're only 11 games in. On another hand, and you're a third of the way through the season, and all your opportunities to build your resume are behind you. I mean, with a weaker ACC this year, you bring up a great point. It's a big challenge to get, signature wins. You're relying a lot on other people that are in front of you. The point about Ian Jackson, I think Ian Jackson right now is the best player on the team, period. And that's the thing. I think that, look, I understand. Buddy, I'm far from a coach, so this is just a outsider, fan perspective. You got to get him more minutes. I mean, the kid's the most efficient 3-point shooter we have, one of the more efficient offensive players. He can get to the bucket. He's strong, plays with energy. Fans love him, that sort of stuff. I mean, you got to figure out a way to get this kid on the floor. I don't know plus minuses or anything like that, but and then the other silver lining is RJ hasn't been RJ. I mean, kid's shooting 37% of the field, 25% from three. Those are bad numbers. He's getting to the line. He's doing all these other things to help the team, And for RJ, those are bad, borderline abysmal numbers. So you got to think if RJ goes out and just plays like a normal player, shoots 43% and, 30%, 32% from three, right? It really changes the dynamic of the team. I think it also – he's a barometer, right? As he goes, everybody else goes. Now he's adept at the best part about RJ is when he's not shooting well, A, he's not afraid to keep shooting, and B, he's not afraid to get to the basket and get to the line. I mean, leads the team in scoring. You tell you a guy that shoots 37%, 25% is averaging 19 a game, Data says, he's taking a lot of shots. Or he's finding other ways, to help the team. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, almost 2 steals a game. This is college basketball. Those are big numbers, big enough, right? So, and then one other point I wanted to make on the strength of schedule is that the upside of the strength of schedule is self-explanatory, right? We played a lot of great teams. However, Memphis, top 25, their 6th strength of schedule. Auburn, top 5, their 7th strength of schedule. Purdue, top 25, they're 8. Bama, top 25, they're 12. Gonzaga, top 25, they're 18. San Diego State, top 25, they're 21. Duke, top 5, they're 22. Kansas, best team, top 5 team, they're 29. Right? Carolina's 5th, so they're above all those teams. But there's a lot of teams in the strength of schedule that are just punching bags. So the pantheon of the teams, the contenders that are in the strength of schedule conversation, Carolina's on the outside looking in. Everybody else in the top 25, and we're 6-5. So, look, I don't think it's the end of the road by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think you got to start thinking. And this brings me to my question to you is as a team, right? It's always, hey, next game, play a game in front of you, I would imagine, that sort of thing. But does it start to creep in? like, hey, when does a tournament start to become, whether it's a focal point, which I would highly doubt anyone would at least admit that, the Hubert's going in and say, man, you guys better beat UCLA. We're gonna miss the tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
But does it start to creep in the locker room, in a conversation, in practice, or at what point, from your perspective, does that pressure add to the mix?
Sleep, it's kind of one of those things where you don't even have to bring it up. And, with this team, I'm starting to think maybe we should actually address that. And you always hate to look ahead just because it is a little bit of a distraction from the upcoming game, and you're kind of bypassing that in some way. But also, I think in this situation, it shows the importance of this game and how bad we need to win. I don't care what this game looks like. I don't care if it's 2-1 UNC on Saturday in the Garden. Possible. But I just want us to win. I don't care what it looks like.
Yep.
And Sleep, we need to win because, we just talked about it. I mean, the season could go south. We need to get some of these wins against some of these top teams and have a quality resume coming up soon, because the conference, we're not going to have that outside of Clemson and Duke. But right now, if I'm the team in the locker room, I wouldn't address it. And just to be honest with you, just because this team needs to focus on itself so much right now, because in all honesty, they are not playing like a tournament team. They need to figure out how to start these games with energy and better defense. Like, you got to put pressure on these teams from the start. You got to come out there with energy. You can't keep taking haymakers from teams, and you got to figure that out. I don't care, what solves it. And I think a lot of it, you just got to come out there and play hard from the start. I don't know if, for me personally, I would try to add something to the warm-up routine where I'm sweating when I'm already heading to that, for the ball toss, the tip-off to start the game.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, that I observe, right, is like, look, you're a team that seems very reliant on shooting, perimeter shooting, and it's easy to get yourself in a hole when shots aren't going in. And shots ain't been going in a lot. I mean, we are dreadful from three as a team. I mean, awful. Yeah. Shooting 30% as a team, 31% as a team from three. And we shoot a lot of threes. So, it's I'm with you on that. It's just, I don't think the season is lost, but I think if you have this conversation 2 weeks from now, and we hadn't really turned much around. I mean, we got some winnable games aside from UCLA on the schedule, but they don't do anything for your resume. I don't think a 3-point loss at Kansas hurts you. Right? I think that probably actually helps you. A win would really help, but
yeah, Sleep. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good.
I just don't think you get credit for keeping it close, and I think that's what we've been too optimistic. Like, there's a switch. Okay, like, keeping it close and staying in the fight versus actually winning it and getting that dub says so much more about a team. And, to your point about our 3-point shooting and why it's so bad, is that's probably a good example to use, that we're not shooting good quality shots. We're maybe settling for jump shots. And this is not a knock, but outside of RJ, we have a bunch of unproven shooters right now.
Yep.
Why would you play into the hands of the defense? And if I'm playing Carolina and I had to pick how I want them to play, it'd probably be shoot contested 3-point shots, because I know they're probably going to miss them, and we're going to have an advantage on the boards because we are one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in college basketball. And, the analytics show that, but the reason why it's such a little deceiving, even though it does prove that we're a bad offensive rebounding team, we shoot a lot of shots and we play fast. So there's a lot more offensive opportunities, offensive rebounding opportunities compared to other teams. That's just why we're so bad. And listen, a lot of times rebounding has nothing to do with length or, size. It has to do with more a want to and pursuit in getting it, Sleep. And, back to your point, we've got to figure out how to get better shots within some type of rhythm, or quality buckets in some type of offense. And we're not doing that right now. And that's a great point you brought up.
We have no one on this team, that averages 5 rebounds a game. So, yeah, I mean, it's not impossible to turn it around. I think if you could personify the team in one game, if they play the last half of the season or whatever's left of the season, like they played the last half of the Florida game.
Mm-hmm.
Look, so showed a lot of fight there. And that I will say is like, as a team that's, really spinning its wheels, really trying to get going, that said something about the makeup, the team in there. So, dude, I think we're two of the biggest Tar Heel fans that ever existed. So this is like, you're kind of
perspective,
brutal honesty, you know what I mean, to some extent, but like we all see it. So, look, you're not going to be undefeated every single year, and winning national championships is hard. Mm-hmm. So, look, I think we got some great pieces on the team, and I just hope we can put it together. That'd be my Christmas wish, I think, man. We play. We don't have a game on my birthday this year. What do you got? What do you got going on for Christmas, Big Hulk? What'd you ask Santa for, dude?
Oh man, I always tell her, don't get me clothes. You're not going to find my size on the rack. I'm just going to sit in my closet because I'm going to have some type of connection to it because somebody important got me a sweater that's 2 sizes and just horrible. And I'm going to keep it because I'm going to feel bad if I throw away a sweater that my mom or somebody got me. But it sounds super negative. Listen,
so I'm going to tell you
I'll take a dub. I'll take a dub.
There you go. I'm going to tell you so. So my dad listens to the pod, and he's going to hear this before Christmas. And maybe he'll hear this and laugh because I guess him and my sister share their Amazon account. So my sister calls and FaceTimes me one day, which is very uncharacteristic. And she's like, I just had to tell somebody. And so she shows me what is in the purchase history. And like my dad always buys us some like off the wall stuff for our birthday. So my sister's birthday is on the 23rd. My birthday's on the 28th. So he'll always buy some just random off the wall. And this one might take the cake. And the best, I don't know specifically which one's mine, but I know one of them is. And I ain't even going to say it because, Dad, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of knowing that I know exactly what you got. But yeah, it's up there. I'm sure he'll be taking pictures of me in it. So, yeah,
there's no telling what that gift is. Knowing your dad, I can't wait till you tell me,
buddy. Wait till I tell you. You're gonna lose your mind. I'll just send you a picture and you'll get it. Probably the funniest thing now is like, this is my first year. I'm not really a Christmas guy, but I got a kid. I feel like I bring this in, enforce this into every episode. My kid doesn't know what's going on. All he does is shake the ornaments off the tree and eat bows off presents. But I think I'm just jazzed up because it's like everybody's like, well, he ain't gonna remember any of this, and we bought him all kinds of stuff, right? Like, yeah, I know, but I will, So he loves looking at the tree and stuff. But we got everybody's coming here, so I don't have to move around any. I got so many. Hosting is one way to put it. I got so many Christmas stories, and very few of them are appropriate for the new SleepHawk Worldwide. But anyway, this is dude. Next week's Christmas, so we ain't doing this again next week. So this is the last. This might be the last episode of the year.
Yeah, because I'm I'm looking forward to 2025. I think it's gonna be a great year for us.
It'll be a good year.
Could be a long year if we don't start winning, but
man,
I'll take that as
I've seen worse.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything else, Big Hawk? Get your crab cakes last minute. I mean, get them for New Year's party. If they can't get them there at Christmas time, I bet you they can get them there by New Year's. So order them. They're good. Great gift item. I'm sure you guys have already bought them. So shout out Jimmy's, man. Something we should do more of. We're probably bad at it, but man, they've been so supportive of us. Not just this year, but for many years. So if you don't do it for Christmas, do it at some point because if you support them, you're supporting us, and we appreciate it. Anything else, Big Hawk?
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Feliz Navidad.